battle for what was going to be the battle for the 6th place. So finally Gugno has made a move, but he got past the Ferrari, but can he make it past the Mercedes on the exit? He's on the drier part of the racetrack. Yes, he has. Cheever's going to try and sweep through as well and take that position away from Nick Foster, but not able to do it. But the principal, Gugno's overrun in the contact. How do they avoid one another? 4 cars into the space of one will not work. These 4 drivers, but they've made it work.
Well, they absolutely have, and Jules Gugno had to try everything, and not including quite enough braking was the only way he could get past Hans Bock. But it looks so the Lexus Thomas Neubauer, not only did he caught them, I thought in the space of 2 corners he's going to catch all 3 of them and pass them. But right now, slingshotting around Nick Foster goes Eddie Cheever the third, the lights flashing from Thomas Neubauer in the background of the Lexus. Let's ride with him down towards Tarzan. Well, there's no inside to be gone for. That's filled by Nick Foster trying to find the wettest part of the circuit in that gold and black Mercedes, doing a fantastic job for SPS Automotive Performance. Eddie Cheever Jr. driving out of his socks. This is the battle for Pro-Am honours, and all along being caught by Thomas Neubauer. But having got through, Jules Gugno now escaping.
Yes, and it's taken a long time for Gugno to find a way through, but he was always going to be in the more compromised situation. But having finally made that move, got it done, coming down into Hans Bock, almost lost it in the process, but consolidated. But look at the screen. I mean, you better not to put your wipers on because it'll become more smeared as Eddie Cheever Jr., what can I see, comes into Master's corner, and then the run, the curve. But it's Neubauer, the third of these 3 cars, who I'm assuming has fitted slick tires, looks to come up the inside, gets up alongside the Ferrari. On the entry, Ferrari now on the outside, Eddie Cheever. Where's the Lexus on the inside? Now alongside Nick Foster. But Ferrari, I mean, this is like Dodgem cars at Port Rush.
Could not be closer. Fantastic battle for 6th place. So Gugnon's now into 6th, sorry, for 7th place. Nick Foster hanging on, but only just from Eddie Cheever. But Thomas Neubauer has finally made the move stick. Eddie Cheever tries to find the track, off the track at the exit of Bock. Now they go into the corner before the most exciting one in the circuit now. It's this new one, the banked one, the Arie Luyendyk box, and Eddie Cheever trying to get a toe out of Neubauer's Lexus as they go out of the corner, over that little rise, down onto the start-finish straight. But now some breathing space at last for Nick Foster.
Yes, that little battle going on between the Ferrari and the Lexus has given Foster that momentary gap where he was able to pull maybe half a second, just over half a second. Gugno, by the way, doing a 1:40.80. That looks to me to be the fastest lap of the race to date. So once he's gotten clear, the back of the Lexus snapped out just before he got into Hogan-Holtz. Goes way, way high. Eddie Cheever thinks he can cut through and make that undercut. That seems to be a popular way of exiting out of Hogan-Holtz, and it's worked successfully.
Well, you know, I think the greatest success of the modification to welcome a Grand Prix to the circuit Zandvoort. Actually, I really enjoyed the Hugenholz box. I love the size of the corners, the bank corner at the Arie Luyendyk box, but the fact it provides more lines, particularly in a wet, dry circuit at the Hugenholz box hairpin, makes it really exciting indeed.
No, I just drives down the inside, clean as you like, no problem. You got all the grip and traction. Now that those slick tires are holding their temperature regardless of going over slightly damp patches. Now, Cheever tries to do the same, and he's been followed through by Matteo Drudi, who also was one of the quickest cars on the circuit. Drudi almost trying to make it 3 wide, down the run, down into Hans Ernst. So can he get a stop? But he's on the wrong part of the racetrack. He might get one position. He's got the Mercedes. Nick Foster had to concede now. Eddie Cheever is going to be the subject. That will not happen before they get out of Arie Luyendyk box, but it will be a possibility only, going down into Tarzan. Gap probably at this stage too much for Drudi to do much about the Ferrari. There's only 3 minutes of the race remaining.
No, I think Drudi's got the pace. It's amazing how often you get a gang of them cars, they fight for lap after lap. You get some other car catching them, and then it just splinters the group, and that's what Drudi has done in the up into 10th place. Eddie Cheever still fighting. The Supers are just waiting for the timing screen to flip, but Eddie Cheever now in the lead of the Pro-Am class. Nick Foster starting to run out, but our race leader Kelvin van der Linde flying 31 seconds clear of the Bentley of Hugo Chevalier. And John,
Felipe Fraga, for those that are a fan of Felipe Fraga, the 88 Mercedes, he's now the quickest car on the circuit, but he's down in 12th place. That's the penalty that was implied at the very beginning of the race.
But he's not the fastest driver in the race. That's suddenly gone into the 1 minute 39. Jules Gounon, 6th place, charging. He's 4 seconds down on the Mad Panda Motorsports Mercedes. Axel Jeffries will be hanging on. Hugo Chevalier, great run into 2nd place. That really good move on Simon Gachet to take 2nd place, leading the Silver Cup class. So really great run for CMR. I said to you yesterday that the Bentleys have had speed this season, but yet to nail a really top result. But 3rd place is the best so far, but looking so strong in the hands of Hugo Chevalier. What a topsy-turvy race. 2 minutes to go. Gap between 1st and 2nd, 31.3 seconds from the number 31 Belgian Audi Club, Team WRT Audi. That's Kelvin van der Linde, building on the work of Riachiro Tomita. A really tricky opening lap.
I mean, Kelvin van der Linde, stunning drive. He's had clear track. He's used the track to his advantage. He can almost stop, have a coffee, and continue on. Jules Gounon, by the way, in 6th place, charging. Fastest sector 1, was fastest sector 2, fastest sector 3, on 138.5. 5 country mile, the quickest car on the racetrack.
Well, we knew the track was going to change. The question was how fast, how soon. And it was a knife edge. The worst thing for the teams was knowing the pit stops. If the pit stop window could be marginally later, they'd have more to go.
He's just taken 5th place away from Axel Jeffries, so that's up to 5th now, and he's a further, well, about 10 seconds behind what would be 4th place Albert Costa in the ML3 Racing Lamborghini with 1 minute remaining. But you know, never say never. Anything in these conditions is possible, but that's a pretty mighty big challenge.
Yeah, it's been
a
big charge now. 2nd and 5th for the Bentleys. The CMR Classic and Modern Racing be delighted with it, but it was always going to be a lottery today. So on to the final lap of the race. The race leader around the AF Corsa Ferrari that for a while led the Pro-Am class, but has fallen back somewhat, but has been great in the battle. And a lot of the drivers would have got a huge amount out of this race, but none as much as that man in the middle there, Riachiro Tomita, 2nd in the opening race of the season with Kelvin van der Linde, and that's going to be improved upon. Let's look at the top speed on the banking, John. Is it still the Bentleys at the top? Has the Lexus moved there? It is still the Bentleys. 187 plays 186. 2nd place plays 5th place. There is an advantage. They've worked very well.
Yes, the car's had a strength, and Jules Gounon certainly, once he was in clear air, is in clear air now. But is this car, the 31 Audi, Kelvin van der Linde?
And the driver suddenly setting fast laps, but it's too little too late. It's Dries van Toor, championship leader, down in 13th place. Oh, what might have been for them. But again, some of the teams got it right with predicting how to set up their cars, what tyres to start this race on. And the bold decision to be one of only 2 cars in the top 4 rows of the grid has paid off, but started on wet weather tyres against all those around them running on slicks. This number 31 car from the Belgian Audi Club, Team WRT, started by Riachiro Tomita, pushed so hard by Giacomo Altoe. Fantastic battle, and that blowout so cruel on the start-finish race. Left rear tyre for Giacomo Altoe. He was a second down on the race lead, and has tried as they might ever since. For Emil Frey Racing, this is not their day. Going to be 4th place for that car at the end. Really great recovery drive for Albert Costa, but he just doesn't have the answers for those ahead of him. And here comes the checkered flag for South Africa racer Kelvin van der Linde. Past a bit of debris left there by the car that had been chasing them. And Riachiro Tomita, yes, he's landed that first European win. You can hear the delight, John.
Absolutely, and I mean a well-constructed victory by the 31 Audi. So good decision at the start to start on those wet weather tyres. Let the car be handed then over to Kelvin van der Linde on slicks. And Kelvin van der Linde just used his opportunities, maxed them out in every particular set. Wasn't the quickest car all through the race, but was consistently fast, but had clear air and used it to win by a margin of 30 seconds. I mean, that's as rare as you know what sheep.
Well, what a solid run. So the CMR delighted, winning the Silver Cup class, 2nd place overall. There's Pierre-Alexandre Jean. He had the really hard job in the first stage of the race, but Hugo Chevalier really got it flying. And the sister car moved up to 5th place at the end of the race, banging in the fastest lap right at the end. 1 minute 37.1 seconds for Jules Gounon. That little slip up at Tarzan, that will be haunting him a little bit, but he drove beautifully thereafter. So there, Kelvin van der Linde winning. 2nd place, Hugo Chevalier. And in the Pro-Am class, in the end, it went to Eddie Cheever just from Phil Keane. Look, by under a second. So for Phil Keane, ERC Sport Mercedes from 22nd and last on the grid.
But, Bruce, that was a mega drive by Phil Keane. We didn't see an awful lot of it, but certainly an outstanding drive. His best race lap, 1:39.0, within a few tenths of a second of fastest race lap overall. Phil Keane was mega.
Yeah, absolutely mega. And it must be said that Lee Mole drove a really good opening stint, but Phil at the end was coming in so super fast. Chiva just enough. There's Chris Froggatt.
Yes.
Fist bumps all around, social distancing being maintained. But for Sky Tempesta Racing, they're really becoming a strong team.
Well, that wasn't a fist pump, but obviously that's somebody close to Phil, close to Chris Froggatt. Anyway, I mean, some outstanding drives in very demanding conditions.
Yeah, well, what an exciting race. But at the end, 30 seconds to good. They nailed every single lap of that race. All 34. Ria Chiritomita started on the wet tyres. He braved it out at the opening stint of the race. Kelvin van der Linde finished it off in absolute style. But for Bentley, they'll be delighted with second and fifth place. Pierre-Alexandre Jean and Hugo Chevalier second to win the Silver Cup class. And you look down to Pro-Am honours, going in the end to Chris Froggatt and Eddie Cheever by just over a second. But what a charge from ERC Sports Mercedes. Lee Mole and then Phil Keane coming strong at the end. That was a difficult race, a complicated race. Only one non-finisher, remarkable in such unbelievably slippery conditions. That was Arthur Rougier. Don't think he even got to hand over to Christopher Haas. But for the driver who won the race, climbing out now, Ria Chiritomita, he laid the foundations. That's what victory means to him. And for Kelvin van der Linde, well, job really, really well done. They rubbed it in half a minute to the good.
I mean, great drive. What we saw in that 31 car, and what Ria Chiro did, it's just very difficult and wise decision by WRT to go down that route, to allow the Japanese driver, as you mentioned, Bruce, very experienced racing in the rain in Japan. So give him this and give him the wet weather tyres and let him see what he can do. But put the slicks on for Kelvin van der Linde. Kelvin, another stellar drive. Saw it the first hole in Imola, outstanding overtakes there. But all round, that's a professional win by a professional team.
Exactly so. And just remember these tiny, tiny margins. They were being hunted down. The 163 crew and Giacomo Alto, one lap too many. Silver Cup winners, delighted down there. Hugo Chevalier still with his helmet on, but Pierre-Alexandre Jean, young French racer, two very young French racers, they really, really coming on strong.